for a long time, there was this prevailing belief, which a lot of Gennady Golovkin fans had, that Triple G was this amazing human being who was a great guy, a man of honor, a guy who didn't even fight for money, who was all about principles and all this kind of business. A lot of these Golovkin fans bought into this belief because that's all it ever was, a belief. We don't know these fighters. Yeah, somebody like Golovkin, who just comes on camera and puts his thumb up and says, "Good boy, big drama show." Well, you think that's his actual, the extent of his personality? The guy don't even speak, hardly any English. How do you know how he is in his real life? He might be a horrible person for all you know. Anybody can get up on a camera and put their thumb up and say, "Good boy, big drama show." Like, this is a foreigner. This is a Kazakh trying to build himself a fan base in the United States. So, of course, he has to play Mr. Nice Guy. But for so many people to swear blind as though Triple G was like, what? Next to Jesus in terms of godliness, it was ridiculous. You don't know the guy. You hardly know anything about him. So now that Triple G is kind of turned heel, because before he was the face, right? I'm using wrestling terminology here. He was a face before, and now he's done a heel turn. He's turned into the bad guy. I've seen some people say that greed has got the better of him. I don't think so. I think that Triple G was this guy all along. Now Triple G, in a lot of interviews, ain't even trying to speak any English. He's like, to hell with that. I'm tired of doing that. Ain't trying to speak no English. Trying to give Abel Sanchez a flat fee instead of a percentage, which is why they ended up splitting. He's coming out taunting Canelo and taunting De La Hoya, saying that DAZN is my partner and DAZN is your boss. All this arrogant talk coming out of Triple G, I don't think he has changed as a person. I think he was always this person. It's just that now he's coming towards the end of his career. Now that he's had this established fan base, he's tired of playing that role. He's tired of putting on that public persona. Now you're seeing the real Triple G, who's actually, in the mode of many fighters from the former Eastern Bloc who are quite mean. Look, the meanness serves them well because boxing is a mean sport. So I don't mean it in a derogatory or disrespectful way. But yeah, I think Golovkin's always been a mean guy. Like a Kovalev or whoever. He had a much more affable public persona, because with Kovalev, he really didn't bother with a public persona. But that's maybe one of the reasons why Kovalev wasn't as popular as Triple G. Triple G put on this like friendly, smiley public persona, even after he just knocked half the teeth out of a guy's mouth. Daggers in his eyes when he's going in for the finish. And you think that guy is just nice as pie and doesn't have any meanness in him? Like, how does that even make sense? Golovkin used to fight people in the street, used to walk up to random strangers and start fights at the behest of his brother. This guy grew up tough. This guy grew up as a bit of a bad boy on the roads. That's how Golovkin grew up. He didn't grow up as some nice guy smiling at everybody and thumbs up and kissing baby. That's not how Golovkin grew up. He grew up as a tough guy, a rough guy. And that continued on because he became a boxer. When he came to the United States, he just learned how to, put this front on, start smiling and putting his thumbs up. This is a guy who comes from the former Soviet Union, from the Eastern Bloc. This guy's tough as nails. This guy's got a cold attitude. Always did have, in my opinion. And that's all we're seeing now. We're seeing the real Golovkin. We're not seeing Golovkin change and become something he never used to be. No, we're just seeing the real guy, who he was all along. Because he's come out and said things like, the relationship he had with Abel Sanchez was fake. Yeah, that's what he's come out and said. It was fake in terms of the whole father-son thing. Some joke business. He never felt that way. He just realized it was an image, you know? Now you're seeing the real Golovkin. Mean guy. Should have cut down percentages just like Kovalev. He was the same with John David Jackson. I think Abel Sanchez is now seeing the real Golovkin. I think he's shocked. He's like, oh my God, I never realized you were like this. Which shows how smart Golovkin is in terms of understanding the role that he had to play publicly to build himself a fan base in a foreign country. When Golovkin returned to his hotel or whatever, or his room after training in the day, he was probably like, thank God that's over. When he talks to his people in his language or his brother, he's probably like, these people, man. You know, most probably was complaining. Didn't like having to keep up the facade of being Mr. Nice Guy all the time. When he reached the position where he didn't need to play Mr. Nice Guy anymore, he stopped playing it, you know? And I ain't got an issue with that. In fact, I actually prefer the heel Golovkin to the face Golovkin. Yeah, I like this heel turn. I think it's interesting. And, you know, we saw that meanness in the Steve Rose. I didn't even, you know, do a post-fight video for that fight. But let me briefly just talk about the Steve Rose fight. I thought that Rose gave a good account of himself. I'd never seen Steve Rose fight before. I never even heard of him before this fight. But through the first 3 rounds, I thought he gave a good account of himself. You know, caught Golovkin with some nice shots. But he made the mistake, which, you know, inadvertently other fighters have made before. He got Golovkin mad. And when you get Golovkin mad, you got serious problems. Because Golovkin came in with them weird punches. You know, the left hook that he throws from a downward angle? It's like an overhand left. Very weird punch, and he hits you on the forehead with it. Difficult punch to defend, right? Because he hits you right in that tiny gap between your guard, and you're not expecting it, and it can knock your legs out from underneath you. And that's what happened to Steve Rose. Poor guy, he thought he was in there. He probably thought he was going to win the fight after 3 rounds. He was probably thinking, you know what, I got this. Golovkin ain't all that. I'm going to take this fight. I'm going to win this. But after he got hit with that left hook on the forehead, scrambled his senses, turned his world upside down. And not long after that, he was damn near out cold on the canvas. From another left hook. You know, Golovkin's followed up with several more. So, you know, some people have said that Golovkin looked bad. He looked old. But Golovkin's always been a guy that's easy to hit. I mean, the Willie Monroe fight, he got hit a lot. The Kell Brook fight, he got hit quite a lot. So, you know, he's never been a guy who's that elusive. It's just that he happens to have an iron jaw. I mean, it's really quite incredible, the punch resistance that Gennady Golovkin has. I don't know how a guy ends up with a chin like that, having such tremendous punch resistance, but he has it. And because he has it, he gets away with having this leaky defense. You know? Gets away with it. But against Canelo, and now that he's with this new trainer, Jonathan Banks, I'm sure Banks wasn't happy with what he saw in terms of the number of punches Golovkin was taking. I'm sure he wanted him to be more defensively responsible than that. You know? But it's going to take time. It's going to take time in terms of transitioning from one trainer to the other and switching up your style. Maybe he can't really switch up his style much. Maybe he is what he is. You know, maybe he can't really improve his head movement that much at 37 years old. It remains to be seen. But if he wants to beat Canelo in the 3rd fight, he's going to need to address that defense. Going to need to. Because Canelo has a very, very good measure of Golovkin now. He knows he can box Golovkin on the back foot, and he can also box Golovkin on the front foot. So it's Golovkin who's under pressure to make adjustments at this point. We'll see whether he can. But as far as, coming out and turning heel, I like it. I like the heel turn. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. It's happening. I'm out. Join me on Patreon. I upload a minimum of 2 podcasts every single week, covering a wide variety of controversial topics, as well as live stream Q&A sessions. Take a look on screen right now at some of the podcasts I've produced so far. For just $3 a month, the equivalent of about £2 a month, you get access to all my new podcasts and my entire back catalogue of past podcasts, including my popular Confessions of a Nightclub Bouncer series. You can listen on your computer or on your smartphone or tablet by downloading the Patreon app from the Google Play Store or the App Store for free. The Patreon app also allows you to download each podcast in MP3. For less than the price of a cup of coffee, you get access to dozens of hours of exclusive content. It's easy to sign up, there's no contract, and you can cancel at any time. So come and join our community of free and critical thinkers by signing up with me here on Patreon today.